So it describes the relation between head developed, that means how much head can be developed by that pump, and the flow rate, that means how much discharge we can have from that pump for a particular rotational speed. How that curves can be generated, first we are going to see that. Here I have shown you people a velocity diagram for the outlet part of the centrifugal pump. That means when the velocity diagram is drawn at the outlet part from the blade, then we can see this kind of geometry. Already I have explained this. All those components you can see, V2 that is the absolute velocity, VR2 the relative velocity, then VW2 that is the tangential component of V2, and VF2 is there, that is the vertical or axial component of the V2. Blade velocity U2, that whole component will be acting like U2, and the angles, one is phi, that is the angle between relative velocity with the blade velocity, that is the angle phi, and beta is the angle, outlet angle, that is making between absolute velocity and the blade velocity. Now if I consider there is no slip in that pump, what is slip already I told, obviously due to slip some tangential velocity component is getting reduced, and due to slip already we have seen some head developed will be getting lost. If we consider there is no slip, then I can write H theoretical. H theo means H theoretical, that means the head developed by the pump, which is a theoretical manner. It should be the Euler's equation, VW to U2 by G, because VW1 is 0. Already I have seen what is that Euler's equation. Now from there if we move forward, so I can write just using some trigonometrical relationship from this outlet velocity triangle, just check it them and tell me if there is any confusion for you people. If I write this VW2 component, that means the tangential component of this V2, can I write like this way, U2 minus VF2 quart of phi, because VF2 is the perpendicular component or axial component of V2 and phi is this angle, so VF2 cot phi means this part is VF2 cot phi. So if I eliminate VF2 cot phi from U2, obviously we will get VW2. And again we know some relationship from our earlier knowledge that U2 can be written by pi d2n by 60, while n is in RPM format, and if I write in RPS format, then I can write U2 is equals to only pi d2n, while n is in RPS, that is revolution per second, and here revolution per minute. Obviously if we explain or express that n in terms of second, then this 60 will be eliminated. And what is d2? Obviously d2 is the dia of outlet tip of the blade. Okay, so U2 can be written like this manner, and again also we can write that VF2 means the axial component of V, it is easily can be written by Q by A always, because discharge, Q is what? Q is nothing but the discharge, and discharge always can be written by product of area into velocity. So Q VF2 easily can be written in this format. This area is nothing but the area normal to the flow velocity. This area I am talking about, area perpendicular to the flow velocity. That means if the velocity of flow is occurring axially, then the area I am considering area, the normal area, or I can say the area perpendicular to this velocity of flow. So easily I can write this expression, or rather say again we can write area is also expressed by pi d b vf. That formula is also used for the reaction turbine. I think you can remember if you have done some numerical solving. This area, which area? The area of flow inside two blade, or I can say between two blade, the area of passage through which the flow is occurring. This is that area. Pi into d into b. B is the width of the blade, vf is the velocity of flow, and d is the diameter. It can be internal diameter, it can be an external diameter. That means it can be d1 as well as it can be d2. This formula already we have used in case of Francis turbine. Now what is our objective here? Just see this expression. Now we are going to substitute this u2 by this expression and vf2 by this expression. Now all these things obviously will be replaced on this expression. Then what we are getting, you can see. Check it out. Just we are replacing or substituting u2 from here over there, and vf2 will be going from there. Obviously this area will be substituted by this. Okay, so after making all those adjustment, I can write like this: vw2 can be written pi d2n, that means u2 is replaced by this, minus q by a cot of phi, because vf2 is replaced by q by a. Now that a will be replacing by this expression. So from here, now go with that. Just I have written sometimes before H theoretical. H theoretical is, I have written that vw2 u2 by g. That expression I have written when there is no slip. Now replace this vw2 term over here. If I replace it, then what I will get? Take 1 by g outside, within third bracket, pi d2n minus q by a cot of phi. Outside there 1 pi d2n will be there, because this for this u2 1 pi d2n will come over here. Simple analytical solution, nothing special is there. Now if you multiply it, what I am getting, if I insert this pi d2n inside, then I will get pi square d2 square n square by g minus pi d2n by ga cot of phi into q, isn't it? Check. Just I have multiplied that pi d2 term inside, nothing special, only simple analytical solution. What I am trying to establish? I am trying to establish a equation by which we can plot the variation of H with respect to Q. That is the objective over here. Now after getting this expression, it is related to H theoretical because there is no slip. After getting this relation, if we consider that pump is running at a constant speed, if I consider that An is constant, similarly D2 obviously will be constant, that is the tip diameter of the outlet part. It will always be constant for a particular pump. See, pi is always constant, G is constant, D2 is also constant, and N I am considering that is a constant speed. Then whole this term as well as this whole term will be remain constant, isn't it? Because this angle phi is this angle between this relative velocity with the blade velocity. For a particular geometry of a blade, phi angle will be remain constant. And if we consider that the diameter as well as the blade is geometry is remaining constant, then A also will be remain constant, because A related to the diameter as well as width of the blade. They are based on a particular geometry, and it cannot be varied. After manufacturing a pump impeller, you cannot vary this D term parameter or B parameter according to your wish. Only you can adjust the speed and the discharge. So already I have considered n is here constant. So I express now this expression like this manner. H theoretical can be written considering this part as a constant. I am explaining it by K1, and minus explaining this term as a different constant by K2, and Q will be there. So what is K1 here? K1 is nothing but one constant, and it is pi d2 square n square by g. And what is K2? It is also a constant, and it is nothing but pi d2n ga of cot phi. This expression is a helping tool for us by which we can plot the curve now. Now we are going to see how the variation will look like. Which variation? Head versus discharge. That is the main rule what we are going to start over now. It is not so simple that we are going to make one single curve, not like so. It is a first step. Like H. What is H? The head developed, or rather say the net head developed by that particular pump what you are using here, and discharge. See this equation, it is a straight line equation, we all know. Because it is a straight line equation, we all know y equals to mx plus c. This c can be corresponding to K1. Are you getting me or not? And obviously this constant part for a straight line equation, what does this reveal? It is the interceptor. I think you people are knowing with these things for a straight line equation. Interceptor means that is the amount which that straight line will intersect the y-axis. H theoretical is the y-axis here, and Q is the x-axis over here. And we all know the independent parameter always lie on the x-axis, and the dependent parameter should be plotted on the y-axis. Okay, so the discharge here, the independent parameter, that will be always placed in the x-axis, and the head developed, it will be dependent on discharge, so that will be coming on the y-axis. Now how that curve will look like? It will be looking like, obviously a minus sign is there, so our slope will be downward. A slope will be downward like this manner, and this portion is nothing but, what is this portion? That is K1. Why it is K1? Because that is the interceptor I am talking about over here. This is the C. If you know what is this particular, how we can plot these curves? Do you know that? If this curve is look like this, then this portion is what? Suppose the straight line equation is y equals to mx minus c. So what does this mean? Or rather say, if I plot it like this, c minus mx. So this curve will look like that, c minus mx. And this c, suppose if we consider x equals to 0. If we consider x equals to 0, then y equals to c, na? See, this origin, this is the x equals to 0. That means this value will be c. Are you getting me or not? They are very simple thing. They are coming from the 10 plus 2 standard. So that thing is replicated over here. That equation is representing K1 minus K2Q. K1 minus K2Q. And here instead of C, that K1 is acting like the interceptor. If we put Q equals to 0 on this equation, then H will be nothing but K1. That is why this is the K1. And you can see the slope is gradually downward. So obviously if we put different values of Q, then the H values gradually decrease. If we increase the value of Q gradually from 0 to 1 to 3, 5, 7, 9 as a whole, H value will decrease because it will be eliminated, subtracted. So that is why we are plotting a negative slope. Have you people understood why this kind of profile is coming?
Yes, sir.
So this curve is nothing but the H theoretical curve. That means head developed theoretically, because we haven't considered the slip is there, but actually there will be slip. So now we can say that H actual means act, SET dot means head actual, it should be sigma x, sigma is multiplied with H theoretical, isn't it? Because sigma is the slip factor. Already I told it yesterday what is that. So due to slip factor some head will be getting lost. If we consider there is slip, so actual head will be look like this. Okay, so if I put that thing then over this curve, then it will be look like this. And this curve is showing, that is the actual one, H theoretical dot sigma s. And if you want to get for a particular discharge, what is this difference? If you want to find out for a particular discharge what is this difference between these two head curve, then what will be that? This difference, what it will show you? It will give you the loss of theoretical head due to slip. I can write like this: loss of H theoretical, Why? Due to slip. So that way, if we consider slip, if we do not consider slip, then this will be the head versus discharge curve. And we know this losses in pump, it can be two types. One kind of loss is there, that is due to shock loss at entry. That is a kind of loss we are talking about now. And second kind of loss, we all know, that usual friction loss, that these two kind of losses will be there. So first coming on to that shock loss at entry, what is that? Now removing this side now, what is this shock loss at entry? Basically, when the water which is going to enter in the blade, it may occur that some oblique entry is there. Oblique entry means the water jet which is going to enter in the blade, it may be at some angle the inlet is occurring. Basically, by design it should be maintained always radial discharge, because efficiency will be maximum if the inlet is radial. But due to any kind of malfunction or manufacturing defect, whatever it may be, that it may occur that water is going to enter in the blade like a oblique manner. So if water or any liquid you are using here, okay, if water inlet at the impeller is oblique manner, then obviously it will form a AD's formation will be there, because a kind of weld will be there if the water enters oblique manner. Mind it, radial inlet is the best efficiency producer. If it doesn't occur, then this kind of losses can be there, and that loss is known as shock loss at entry. That kind of loss if this water enters like a oblique pattern, because we always want that the water should glide over the blade smoothly, but if it enters at an angle, then that smooth gliding won't occur, and if there is a kind of eddy formation will be take place if this kind of oblique entry is there, and that loss is known as shock loss. And due to shock loss, obviously due to shock loss some energy will be wasted, some energies will be wasted. Okay, now if we want to quantify that H shock means the head loss due to shock. Which shock I am talking about? This shock loss at entry. If I want to quantify, then that can be expressed like a constant, new constant will be coming, and discharge will be there, that is Q minus QD, square of that. Now let me clear what is that. First thing, that already we have seen for a kind of minor losses for any kind of pipeline, it is explained by KQ square. That is a particular pattern for finding out any minor losses. K is a particular constant we are talking about, and Q can be a kind of flow rate or discharge, you can say. So here K3 is basically a constant. Why I am putting K3? Already I have used K1 and K2, that is why I am putting K3. There is no special reason behind it, just already I have used K1 and K2 two times. New constant, so K3 is putting there. What is Q? Q, the flow rate at working condition. So we can say actual flow rate. Actual flow rate. Actual flow rate, actually while the actual flow rate is occurring, there is shock loss I have already considered. So due to shock loss, obviously some Q will be wasted. So that Q is the actual flow rate while shock loss is there. And QD? QD is nothing but the flow rate at design condition. Flow rate at design condition. So obviously this design condition won't be maintained if there is a shock loss. So obviously some difference between these two parameters will be there. So QD obviously will be higher, Q will be lower. So if you difference them, then you are getting that what amount of losses is occurring due to this shock loss at entry. So this equation will give you that what amount of head is lost for this shock loss. QD is the flow rate at design condition. The design condition, actually design is being made without considering this shock loss. While this design is being made, that point of time we consider that shock loss is zero. Shock loss is zero because radial entry we have considered. We considered radial entry. But due to any reason, if radial entry doesn't fulfill, then shock loss will be there, and due to that some discharge will be getting, or flow rate will be getting minimized, that is Q. So difference between them, that is actually representing the head loss due to the shock loss entry. So this expression will give us the head loss due to shock loss at entry. K3 is obviously a constant, and this is the interval between two discharge of square. What I am going to replicate now, we are going to put some losses on this particular head curve, because here I haven't implemented any losses. Now we are going to introduce the losses. First loss is head loss, shock loss due to entry. Second loss is, I have already written, frictional loss. Frictional loss already I have explained many times, that is only the head loss due to friction, easily can be quantified by using Darcy-Weisbach equation. So HF, generally we use head loss due to friction just to symbolize it, and it can be written another fraction constant I am taking, K4, a new constant, into Q square. Because already I have explained that head loss due to friction by and Darcy-Weisbach equation, it is nothing but FL V square by twice dg. That kind of expression already I have written. Now V can be easily written Q by A, isn't it? V can easily written Q by A. So if you substitute this value over here, then what will be there? 1 Q square will be there. That equation will be converted in terms of Q square, like this manner. F L Q square by A square twice dg. This kind of equation will be there. So if you take all these parameter like a constant, F, L, 2d, g, a square, if we consider like constant, then obviously you can put a new constant k4 by q square. Easily can be written. That is why I have written over here. Just maintaining the rest of the parameters are constant. So head loss due to friction can be written like this structure. Understood or not?
Yes, sir.
That same Darcy-Weisbach equation, instead of V, I have replaced that V by Q to A. Then considering the pipe plane or cross-sectional area, if we maintain the constant, cross-sectional area of the pipe, actually they will be remain constant for a particular system. Then easily that equation can be constructed like this. That I have written over there. If anybody having any confusion, then please tell me. Now this is the head loss due to shock loss and this is the head loss due to friction. Now if we try to plot both of them over here, how it will be changed? See, I have to make a new plot because it should be a bigger one, otherwise things won't be clear. বইতে একেবারে হেড কার বলে এক গাদা কার মেকে দেয়, বাট দে হ্যাভেন্ট এক্সপ্লেন্ড হাউ দে আর লুক লাইক, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য প্রবলেম। মুখস্থ করে নিতেই পারো এই গ্রাফের প্যাটার্ন এরকম, এই কার্ভের প্যাটার্ন এরকম, বাট লটস অফ questions comes from this particular part in every kind of competitive exam. It may be GATE or any kind of competitive exam. That head curve for centrifugal pump, that is very important topic. Okay, so already I have shown that H theoretical is look like this, a downward slope. It's a straight line. It may be look like a curvy line, but it's a straight line. And already shown for the curve for having the slip. So I named this curve, first one named that by 1, okay, Roman 1, a second one I am naming by Roman 2. Already I have explained this one is H theoretical curve, okay, and this curve is H theoretical dot sigma s, that is slip factor. Now going to plot these two, this one and this one. First try to plot that this one is the H shock. I have written H shock. H shock is this one. So if we plot this equation with different values of Q, so it will be look like this. This point will give you where Q equals to QD. That means the design point. That means the design flow rate and the actual flow rate, they are equal. See, if they are equal, then no shock loss is there. Already I told you that we have considering that at the time of design there is no shock loss. So if there is no shock loss, head loss due to shock, it won't be there. So this point will give you the point where Q equals to QD, and this part make them firm. This is the curve, name it by 3, Roman 3. So at any point, suppose at this particular point, if you know the value of discharge, if you get this particular height, so that height will give you H shock, isn't it? So this curve is the number 3. Number 3 means this one is 3, okay. And going to plot this frictional head curve or head loss due to friction. Frictional head loss curve will be look like this. obviously it will pass through the origin, and it will always will be a parabolic curve, so it will be look like this, and name it by 4. So this is the 4, and this one is the 3. Okay, so this is the head loss due to friction. If I plot it like this, it will look like. So if at any point, suppose at this point, if you get this value, so it will give you the head loss due to friction. Very good. So what we have plot over here, we have plot 4 things now. That is theoretical head developed by the pump, then actual head developed by the pump, then the head loss at shock, head loss due to shock at the entry, number 3. Number 4 representing the head loss due to friction throughout this system. That means lots of frictional head loss will be there for inside the pipeline. All these 4 plots I have plot over here. Now obviously after getting all this thing, I should get a actual head curve. Actual head curve. I am getting what I have to do if I want to get the actual head curve. Actually that H theoretical dot sigma is, that means the curve 2, it is being considered already the slip factor, but it hasn't considered these 2 losses, isn't it? So if I want to get the actual head curve, then I have to do a simple deduction. What deduction? The deduction of if I write this like this way, that H theo dot sigma s, from this part if I eliminate HF and H shock, then you will get this actual head curve. Tell me, have you understood this thing or not? Because this head is giving when you have considered the slip, but you haven't considered here that head loss due to friction and head loss due to shock. So if I eliminate these 2 practical terms from this term, then you will get the actual head curve where you have considered all the losses, isn't it? So from every ordinate value, suppose any ordinate value, suppose this point I am taking, at this point take the ordinate value of this curve, and from that ordinate subtract these 2 ordinate value, then obviously you will get every ordinate of this actual head curve. So if I draw that actual head curve, it will look like this. Oh, it will not intersect, like this. Number 5. This curve is actual head curve. Actual head curve means we have considered slip losses, that means loss due to slip, head loss due to friction, and head loss due to shock. So actually the real head curve versus discharge will be this one. I am putting one star, 2 star. So this star making curve is the actual head curve. Now tell me, you people, have you understood or is there any confusion? Tell me. So this 5 number curve is the actual head curve. 5 number curve. So I am again putting all those points over here. Number 1 curve is the theoretical head curve. Number 2 is the theoretical, it is also a kind of real head curve considering slip factor. Okay. Number 3 is the head curve due to shock loss. Number 4 is the head loss due to friction curve. And after having all these curves, I am getting the actual head curve if we do this subtraction. Ordinate value of number 2 curve minus sum of these 2 curves. Then we will get this kind of actual head curve. So in any textbook, you only see the actual head curve. They won't show you this kind of all these curves. Some foreign publications are there who can show all these curves. Most of the common Indian authors using, if you follow S.K. Soam's book, he is my godfather, so I blindly follow him. From his book you can get all these things, but never follow Bansal. You cannot get all these things in Bansal. You can copy it, you can check it, you can never be all this information from Bansal or Jagdish Lal or something like those books. They only will show you how the actual head curve is coming, but behind the actual head curve lots of stories like this are there. You cannot get actual head curve at an instant. Okay, it hasn't been finished yet. I am coming again onto it because this characteristic head curves is very important topic, mind it. Now first of all we see that how this forward curved vein and a radial vein and backward curved vein, they are important over here. Let me draw a simple picture. Suppose like this kind, small picture. So blade, it is bent like this and the motion is occurring this side. Okay, so this is the forward curved vein. So how the geometry of outlet velocity diagram will look like? Velocity diagram will look like this. Wait. They all are straight line. Okay, they may be look like a curvy line, but mind it, they all are straight line. I'm trying to draw a straight line because the board is so slippery. This will be the velocity diagram of this forward curved vein. Suppose, why should I say this is a forward curved vein? Because the blade curvature, you can see the blade curvature is in the same direction of the motion, isn't it? The blade is curved like this and it is rotating in the same direction. So if the blade curvature in the direction of rotation, repeating, if the blade curvature is in the direction of motion, then it is known as forward curved vein. Okay, all those components you know, VF2, then V2, then VR2, you know these things. Important factor is that this angle will be what? This angle will be phi. This angle, that means, let me show in a clear manner. Let me show all the parts. This will be the VW2 because this is V2, this one is the vertical component of the V2 and this whole component will be VW2, isn't it? And U2 will be this one will be U2. So the angle between U2 and VR2, again repeating, angle between U2 and VR2, this angle is nothing but the angle what I have represented by phi, because phi is the angle between relative velocity with the blade velocity. So this angle will be the phi and this one is already, you know, it is represented by beta. This is the blade outlet velocity triangle if the blade is curved in forward direction. Why it is forward? Because the curvature of the blade and the rotation of the blade, they are in same direction. Now if I go for the same kind of geometry for a radial curve, radial vein means inlet part there is some curvature. If inlet entry of the blade there is a curvature, but at the outlet it is going to radial like this manner, and the rotation is here in this direction. So you can see the blade curvature is there at the inlet part. From here the blade, water will inlet, but at the outlet the blade is going to be radial. So according to that, the blade geometry, according to the change blade geometry, the velocity triangle also will be changed. This is the V2 and this is the VR2. Similarly, this angle is beta. This angle is beta, and here this phi is becoming 90 degree, isn't it? Phi means what? Acha, let me show you the u2 component. This component is u2 as well as this component vw2. Both are same because vw2 is nothing but the horizontal component of v2. So if the radial discharge is occurring, obviously v2 and vw2 will be remain vw2 and u2 will be remain same because the radial discharge is taking place. Due to the radial inlet, for the same reason we have considered that vw1 is 0. So now the radial vein is this kind. A radial vein, if the vein is radial, then this will be the outlet velocity triangle, and radial vein means at the inlet there is a curvature, but at the outlet there is a radial discharge. Okay, and for the backward curved vein, if I make the same kind of structure for backward curved vein, the blade will be bent like this. A very big angle is given like this, and the rotation obviously in this direction. So why it is backward curved? Because the curvature of the blade in opposite direction of the rotation of the blade. Rotation is taking place in anti-clockwise direction, but the curvature is in the clockwise direction. So already I have drawn multiple times the velocity diagram for this case. So the velocity diagram is look like this. This will be the VR2, this will be the V2, VF2, this part is VF2, then this small part will be VW2, and this whole part will be U2. Lots of time already I have drawn this diagram. This is the angle phi and this is the angle beta. Now which one is the preferable for us? See, already I have explained that H theoretical is nothing but K1 minus K2Q. Okay, and K2 is nothing but, you can go to the previous page, you can see that pi d2n by Ga into cot of phi, that thing is K2. Already I have explained just few minutes before, isn't it? Theoretical head and K1, K2 two constant, and K2 is this part. Obviously it is a constant. You can find it at the early part of this today's lecture, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So now see what is the factors you can see over here. See, for this forward curved vein, you can see the diagram VW2 here is greater than U2. That means the tangential velocity component of V2, it is greater than U2. You can see, and the phi value, it is greater than the 90 degree value. That means the obtuse angle is there. The phi value is nothing but greater than 90 degree. If you put greater than 90 degree over here, phi value, then what will be the cot component of that? Isn't it give you a negative value? You can try with a calculator, put any value more than 90 degree over here, so you will get a negative value of it. So as a result of phi greater than 90 degree, you will get K2 will be less than 0. Why? Just put this phi greater than 90 degree over here, you will get it very easily. Similarly, for this radial curve vein, here what we can see phi here equals to 90 degree and U2 that is equals to VW2. And similarly, in a same fashion, K2, if we put 90 degree over here, cot 90 degree is nothing but 0. So it will give you 0. K2 is becoming 0 for radial curve. Now coming with the backward curve, here also we can draw the same kind of conclusion like U2 is greater than VW2. That is a condition first. Then phi I am getting here less than 90 degree, and if phi is less than 90 degree, then obviously K2 will be greater than 0. These things we can conclude from here. If there is any problem, then tell me. Just based on different phi values, K2 is positive, K2 is negative. Here K2 is negative when forward curve when. Why I am doing this? Because if I plot, lots of plotting will be there. Plotting discharge versus head, and which head I am talking about? Theoretical, H theoretical. Now I am going to plot this forward curved, radial curved or backward curved vein over here. See, this plot will look like this. This curve is representing radial one. Why beta? Because if K2 is 0, then this theoretical head curve equation you can see already I have written. So this part will be 0. So H theoretical equals to K1. So if I write this head is K1, then it is easy. For different value of Q, always that theoretical head will be remain constant for radial vein, because that K2 part is eliminated, so it will be constant straight line having a value of K1. Any confusion, tell me. This horizontal straight line is representing this radial vein, theoretical head developed by the radial vein. Why? Because this K2 part is 0 there, it will be eliminated, so H theoretical equals to K1, and inside that K1 you can go some few minutes back. Already I have explained that what is K1. K1 is nothing but, I have explained one expression for the K1, just you can see over there that K1 is nothing but pi d2 square n square by g. So if you want to get the plot for radial vein, it will give you a horizontal straight line, this one, because this condition is there. This top one, it is representing which vein? Can you tell me? This upward slope?
So backward.
No beta, it is forward. Why it is forward curved? Because in forward, yes, exactly, if you put this condition K2 less than 0, if K2 is less than 0, then it will be added up, that means K1 plus this term will be there, because K2 is negative, so this negative and that negative will make them positive, so K1 will be added with this term, then इसीलिए the slope is getting gradually increase. Are you getting me or not beta? Because this K2 for the forward curved vein, it is negative. See, if it is negative, then as a whole this equation will be getting positive, K1 plus this term will be there. That is why it is getting increased. And if you consider Q equals to 0 at the origin, K1 will be there, because this is the interceptor. And if you go this one backward, bottom one, backward curved vein. Why? For the backward curved vein, you have seen that K2 is greater than 0. So this part will be giving you a negative slope, so it will coming down. This curve is a very important one. Lots of books you can see these curves. And why? Just they have represented, this is the graph for forward, backward and radial curved vein. But how they are coming, haven't expressed. You can check it out. Understood?
Yes.
Now moving to ahead, or moving relates with the same topic, haven't left with that curve again going to plot Q. Now we are going to show you two curves. One is head versus discharge curve and one is power. Which power I am talking about here? The power needed to drive the pump. Obviously, we all know that to drive a pump we need to have some electrical power or any kind of power, mechanical power we need. It can come from a motor, it can be supplied from a IC engine, whatever it is. Okay, we need to have a electrical motor or IC engine. That power I am talking about here, the power consumed by the pump. Okay. First try to show you that how those heat curves will be look like for different vanes, that is backward, radial and forward. Okay, already I have shown you that how the theoretical head curves is showing like just before of this. Now I am showing the how the actual head curves, because considering all the losses, if I show you, so it will be look like this. Acha, head curve I am representing by blue color. Okay. This name it by A, B and C. A is backward curved, B is radial and C is forward. They are the actual head curve considering the losses. Now if I draw on this particular curve, on this particular plot, power curves, power versus discharge, then there will be a magic. See, then for radial it will be look like this, then name it by E, then F and then G. E is standing for radial, then F standing for forward and G stands for backward. These red curves representing the power consumed by these particular pumps for particular kind of geometry of blades. One radial blade, one forward blade, one backward blade. These red curves are power curves. Which power? The power consumed by the pump. Okay, and these blue curves showing you the head curves for these three kind of blade geometry. Now why I am drawing this? From here you can see that why these backward plate curves, why these backward vane blades are used. Why? It is a very good question for any kind of interview. Most of the books they have written that backward vanes blades are used in centrifugal pump. But why? The reason can be explained from here. See, if I consider that a particular design point, or suppose I am putting a design value like this point, I am putting this point on the backward curve, that is on G. Just understand for the G, rest of the things you will automatically understand. On the curve G, that means the power consumed by the backward curved pump, I am putting a blue dot onto it. It is showing it is a design value. Suppose this is the design value. Design value means the rated on for this particular point. If you put down on this or abscissa, then you will get the design discharge or design flow rate. Similarly, if we go like this, then you will get the design power rated. That means how much power it will consume for this particular discharge, that you are getting from there. That is the design value. Now you can see, suppose a pump is running with this design value. So that will consume the optimum power by from this electrical motor. The power value you are getting from here. Very good, no problem. But it may occur in practical sense that from this design value discharge is increased, that means flow rate suddenly increased, or it may occur the reverse one also, discharge or flow rate may decrease from the design value. Obviously it can occur, it is a practical world. We always can say design value cannot be maintained always. It is not possible for a realistic manner. So always from this design value the flow rate can increase as well as the flow rate can decrease also. Now from this G curve you see, if we increase the flow rate or if we decrease the flow rate, then the power consumption of the pump will be reduced, because this is the maximum point where we have set the design value. So if we move leftward, the power obviously, suppose I am getting this flow rate, suppose I have taken this flow rate. So you can see, if we supply it here, then obviously if I put it P1 and if you put it P2, then obviously P2 is less than P1. Similarly, suppose I have shipped over this side. Again, if you transfer that point onto that axis, you will get a power which will be less than the P1. What I am trying to mean? I am trying to clear one thing. If the pump is running with part load, that means different from the design value, then the power consumed by the pump will be lesser than the design value. Again repeating, in backward curved vane, if the pump is working on part load means lesser or greater than the design value. Full load means it is working on the design point. But it may occur that the more discharge or less discharge is coming than the design value. Then obviously we say that the pump is working on part load. Then the motor will work safely. Why? Because the power drawn by the pump, it is less than the design value, because the curve is sloped like this. So if we take this value as a design value, then if we move here or here, it will consume the lesser power, because this is the power axis. This will give you the maximum power, P max, power drawn maximum by that motor, or by that pump. But if we move this side or that side, obviously you will get some lesser power. That means the pump will draw but less power. So it will work safely, otherwise the motor will be burned, which will occur in the other cases, that is in case of forward or radial bend pump. Are you getting me or not? Always it can occur that the pump never run always with the design value, never possible. Pump is working below the design value or above the design value of flow rate, still the pump motor, that means the motor which is driving the pump, it will be safe. It will not going to be burnt out, because the power consumed, you can see, it is less than the rated power. Rated power means the power which is standing for the design value. হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ আমি রেকর্ডিং চালু করে দিয়েছি। সো ও এটা লাইট অন করলে আবার রিফ্লেকশন আসছে। So that is the reason why we use backward curved vane. By using backward curved vane, I can write the point over here. In backward curved vane, if the pump is working on part load, then the motor will work safely. Why? Because the moving from the design point, still the power consumed by the pump, it is less than the design value. and this property, this characteristics is known as self-limiting characteristics. Self-limiting characteristics of the pump, which is only possible if we use backward curved vane. If we use radial curved or forward curved vane, suppose for A for E curve, if I set the design point over here or over here, then you see if it is less than the design value, if we suppose go for the E curve is the radial one, the straight climbing up. I have set the design point over here. This is the design point. Okay. If it is running, obviously if we are running with the lesser value, then it is working under what I say, if I underrated condition means rating design value is this and you are running below than that means the whole utilization you haven't done, it is underrating condition, you will get lesser discharge. But if you climb up, then see the curve is also going high, so as a result of that power consumption will be more, motor will be heated up, it will be getting burnt. Same for the F curve, if we go down than the design value, then it will be underrated condition, but if we go above, it will burn out the motor because power consumption will be higher than the rated value of the motor. Every motor is rated with some specific value, depending on that the motor will do your job. Now if you run the motor with more than its rated value, then after some time it will be burnt out. So that is the reason why we select backward curved vane instead of forward or radial curved vane, because in backward curved vane it will be giving you the self-limiting characteristics, but in case of radial and forward curved vane it will not be there, these characteristics will not be there, it cannot adjust or it cannot keep the motor safely if the pump is working more or less than the design value, then it will put some impact on the motor. That is the reason why we prefer the backward curve vane. Okay. So for you people, just store in your hard disk that always we prefer backward curved vane. The reason is that the backward curved vane having self-limiting characteristics, but forward and radial curved vane they do not have. Now showing you another curve, discharge, head, efficiency. This curve you can see on your any book. If we plot, first of all let me draw the head curve. Already I have shown you the actual head curve is look like this. This is the actual head curve. Already I have shown you actual head curve. Now the efficiency, which efficiency? Obviously it is manometric efficiency. Manometric efficiency curve is look like this. Obviously this is a maximum efficiency. Maximum efficiency means this is the efficiency curve. Okay, efficiency versus discharge, and that is actual head curve means head versus discharge. Okay, this is the peak point. It will be the design RPM. Design RPM means that is the design value of the rotation of the pump. Okay, so one person already left, very good. And if we jot down this point on this particular axis, this point will give you the design discharge, because that is the efficiency curve. So maximum efficiency obviously will give you the design point of the discharge, and RPM design RPM. Okay, so if I am not going to further proceed, basically already I can see one person left. So if I elaborate in a same fashion what I am doing, then rest of people also can escape. So just showing that if I, after having these two curves, again if I do some analytical solving, then easily I can show you how the system characteristics curves I will get. HQ, age versus Q, characteristics curve. characteristic curve for the system. This curve I introduced over here. First let me express or let me explain what is this curve. This curve actually representing all the losses encountered for the whole system, because our pump is not only working with a pump, it will be connected with the suction pipe, it will be connecting with a delivery system or delivery pipeline. So if we encounter all those losses, that means head loss in the suction pipe, head loss in the delivery pipe, if you count all of them, then you will get a system curve. The system curve is nothing but it is represented by H system, that means the head loss due to system. Which system I am talking about? The system consider the strainer, the valve, the elbow fittings, non-return valve. What are the fittings you have connected with the pipelines in suction part as well as the delivery part? They all will encounter some amount of losses. So if you add all of those losses, then the head loss due to those fittings will give you the head loss due to system. And easily it can be shown over here, but I don't think that you people are interested onto it. So H system can be expressed by HS plus CQ square. HS is the static head, and C is basically a constant and Q is the discharge. So this expression easily can be developed. If we develop this equation and going to plot over there, then it will be look like this, This is the curve which is system characteristics curve. It is known as HS plus CQ square. So this part will be the HS. From here what we can see? We can see, let me allow making some adjustment. This is the efficiency curve. This is the actual head curve, and this is the system characteristics curve. It should be a kind of slope like this. This is the actual head curve. Now this system characteristics curve will be like this. So this point is nothing but the operating point. What is this operating point? Operating point means at this point actually the pump will be working. You can see this is the design value, because we have designed the pump based on this value, but it is working on this point. A deviation is there, always it will be there. If this point comes close to each other, that means estimation is very good. The engineer who has estimated the loss, that is the system loss, he is very good into it. But practically it has been observed that always this design point and this operating point shifted to some extent, because lots of fitting is being introduced while it is being installed, and they are not being considered at the time of design. Come back to reality, those things happens. If this design point and this operating point comes very close to each other, that means the estimation regarding this all system losses, they have estimated very accurately. But if they go too far, then obviously estimation has been done very wrong manner. So this system characteristics curve intersecting with the actual head curve will give you the operating point of the pump. Okay, so this curve is known as HQ, H versus Q, characteristics curve for the system. All these curves you can see in any textbook, but if they are very well mannered explained, then go through them. Otherwise, whatever I have discussed over here, that is the thing regarding the characteristics curves. Tell me if there is any confusion, then please tell me.
Sir, operation point and design point and
Operating point means actually the pump working on at which point. Obviously, at actual case we have to consider all the losses, and if we consider all the losses in suction line and delivery line, why those losses are coming? Due to every kind of fitment in pipeline. Suppose in suction pipeline one strainer will be there, one check valve will be there, elbow joints will be there, every fitting will consider losses. That is the loss encountered over here. That H system is nothing but the losses due to the different kind of fittings in the pipeline, like strainer, like check valve, like bends, these things. If I develop this expression, it will take some time. I don't think the people are interested. That is the reason why I have skipped this part. But this equation can be developed like the same manner what I have developed earlier. So if you plot this curve, it is also give you this kind of a parabolic curve. So this is the system characteristics curve, and this is the actual head curve. They are intersecting at a point. Which point will give you the actually operating point for the pump? Because that is the common point. Intersecting point means the common point between these two curves, and actually the pump is working in this point, based on this point. If we want to get the efficiency, this will give you the efficiency, this will give you the head, and this will give you the discharge. But actually the pump is designed based on this point. You can see that at the design point you are getting more efficiency, and efficiency is getting lost at the actual case. This is the actual efficiency, this is the ideal efficiency at design value. If they are very different, large difference is there, then you should consider the person who has estimated this system characteristics value, he has done a big mistake. Lots of things hasn't been considered. Actually, in practical manner, some more fittings is being introduced, which fittings do not counted in case of design. So actually this difference will be there, but if it is so large, then it is not so good design, I can consider. Understood?
yes.
Now coming back to after moving from this head characteristics point, you can see these curves from any textbook. If you have any confusion, then please let me know them. Next topic is cavitation. Cavitation is a very important topic from this point. Cavitation. Already I have told you people a little bit of regarding cavitation. Okay. So cavitation means what? Always if I want to enter some fluid inside the pump, then a negative pressure must be there. That means lesser than the atmospheric pressure, otherwise liquid cannot go inside. Okay. Now if we continuously reducing the pressure at the inlet of the pump, then what will happen? It may occur boiling of the liquid. Why? Because the vapor pressure for the particular liquid, it is relevant to pressure. We all know. We frequently say the water will vaporize at 100 degrees centigrade, but it is based on atmospheric pressure, mind it. If we reduce the pressure acting on the water, then obviously this vapor pressure will be reduced. Do you know that things? They are very childhood knowledge. Water will be boiling at 100 degrees centigrade at 1 atmospheric pressure. If you reduce the pressure, then obviously vapor pressure will be reduced, lesser than the atmospheric pressure. It can be boiled. So in case of pump, what happens? When the water is going to enter in the pump inlet, then obviously it should be lesser pressure than the atmospheric pressure, otherwise water cannot go inside. Now if the pressure is gradually decreasing than the atmospheric pressure, it may occur that the fluid is going to be bubble formation. If the bubble formation takes place, why that bubble formation takes place? Because the pressure is lesser than the vapor pressure of that liquid. If the bubble formation takes place, bubble means what? Bubble means inside of bubble there is air. It is a thin film of water, suppose. Now if suddenly pressure getting higher, then that bubble is getting blasted. When this bubble getting burst, then what happen? From everywhere the high pressure liquid is going to flow on that particular low pressure region, because that bubble is getting bursted. Due to burst, a low pressure is created. So from all around, all the high pressure liquid will follow or flow on that region, and it will create a kind of pitting action on the cavitation zone. If the bursting of bubble is taking place for the impeller, then all those fluid is going to hit on that particular impeller part, and it will create a pitting action by which repetitive cavitation can damage the impeller blade. Okay, it can very severely damage the impeller blade. So that a very common phenomenon which is known as cavitation. Tell me, theoretically, have you understood what is cavitation or not?
Yes.
হ্যাঁ অভিষেক শুনতে পাচ্ছি না।
Cavitation মানে ব্লেডের মধ্যে হয়?
Not really. In a hydraulic system, anywhere it can take place. Inside a impeller it can take place, inside the suction pipeline it can take place, inside that hydraulic circuit, that means the system, whatever I am talking about now, not in the delivery section. From suction side to the pump impeller, it can take place anywhere, because if you want to have cavitation, the pressure must be below than the atmospheric pressure, and it can only occur in the suction side as well as at the impeller side. Then if you go to the delivery region, there is high pressure, cavitation cannot occur there. Okay, so due to this cavitation, some obviously detrimental effects are there, and that impeller can be damaged also. So how that impeller cavitation factor can be find out? Now if we apply Bernoulli's equation, see that things, just open that previous day's picture, whatever picture I have drawn in the last class, that elaboration explained picture of the pump. A sump is there, over a tank is there, just use that picture, then you can understand here. Using Bernoulli's equation, between inlet of pump, that means the pump inlet I have shown in that drawing by the point of C, inlet of pump, and the sump means the bottom reservoir, applying Bernoulli's equation. Then I can write P1 by rho g, that is the pump inlet part, I am writing leftward, V1 square by twice g plus Z1. Just see that picture, then you can get all these things. HF, Z1 is the elevation of that inlet of the pump from the datum surface. HF is the head loss due to friction in the suction pipeline, and in the right side I am writing the Bernoulli's equation for the sump. For the sump there is atmospheric pressure is acting, so P atmospheric by rho g. Obviously in the sump there is no velocity, the fluid is static or liquid is static almost, the velocity as it is 0, and considering the datum surface acting on the sump, I am considering the datum or the reference surface is aligned with the sump surface, so I can consider that there is no elevation because I am considering the datum lying on the sump surface. So it is the inlet side, inlet of pump, and it is at the sump. What? Bernoulli's equation. Why I am considering datum is 0, but just because I am considering the datum, the reference surface, I can consider it is lying on the same plane of the sump. Now what is this pressure? That is the pressure needed at the inlet of the pump. If I replace that P1 by P minimum, why I am putting P minimum? Because that is the minimum pressure required at the inlet of the pump. Again repeating, I am replacing this P1 by P minimum. Why? Because I am want to find out that what will be the minimum pressure at the pump inlet by which we can avoid the cavitation. So I am replacing P1 by P minimum. P minimum by rho g, just bringing that all these other terms sending on the right side, so it will be changed like this: P ATM by rho g minus of V1 square by twice g plus Z1 plus HF. Acha, put it HF1. HF1 means head loss in the suction pipeline due to friction. So just P1 is replaced by P minimum. Now see this expression, where what we can see, if the HF value, if this HF value goes higher than the pressure available at the impeller at inlet side. What that trying to mean, that if HF value is getting higher and higher, that means the head loss due to friction, if it is go very high value, how it can be higher? Is easily, if you lengthen the suction pipeline, that means you are increasing the head loss due to suction inside the suction pipe, isn't it? Because it is the head loss due to friction. If you keep a very smaller diameter pipe, how you can increase HF? If you keep a very small diameter pipe, then it will increase the friction. If you use a bigger diameter pipe at the suction side, it will reduce the friction. Similarly, if you lengthen the suction pipeline, it will be increase the friction head. If you shorten the suction pipe, it will decrease the frictional head. That way you can vary the HF value. Now, if we HF value, if it is increased, then this whole value will be increased. Then this result will be decreased. That means the P minimum value will be decreased, isn't it? If HF is getting high and high, then as a result of it, what will happen? This value will be minimized, isn't it?
Yes.
That I am trying to mean, that P minimum is going to reduce then. How it can be done? Friction easily can be adjusted. If you put lots of fittings, lots of unnecessary fittings you have added, then you means increasing the friction value. So you can easily adjust the head loss due to friction. Now see, if I shuffle this expression like this manner, V1 square by twice g coming at the left side and keeping all the term at the right side, P ATM by rho g minus P minimum by rho g minus Z1 minus HF1. I can write it like this, just shuffling the equation. Now this V1 square by twice g, that is obviously the velocity head. Now I am replacing this term with a new thing, that is written by sigma c into h. What is this sigma c? Sigma c is critical cavitation factor. Just see the how it will look like if we replace it. Sigma c will be look like, just see, you can understand very easily, P ATM by rho g minus P minimum by rho g minus Z1 minus HF divided by H. What is this H? Obviously net head developed by the pump. And sigma c, it is critical cavitation factor. From here one another factor will come. Basically a scientist Thomas comes into picture from here, who brought to us a factor which is known as Thomas cavitation factor. What is that? Thomas cavitation factor is explained by sigma. Just see how they are related. Thomas cavitation factor. Thomas cavitation factor, if I write the expression of Thomas cavitation factor, it is nothing but the simple expression. This is written like this: P ATM by rho g will be there. A simple modification he has done, nothing else. Minus this P minimum pressure is replaced by P vapor pressure. That means the vapor pressure of the liquid which is handled by the pump. minus Z1 minus HF1. Rest of the things are very same by H. See, this is the critical cavitation factor, which is representing the atmospheric pressure head minus minimum pressure head. Minimum pressure head means the pressure head which is required at the suction side of the pump. Z1, that is the suction side elevation. HF is the head loss due to friction in the suction pipe, divided by the net head developed by the pump. If we get this value, all these values are available, this will give you the critical cavitation factor. Now Thomas, what he has done, he has replaced this P minimum by P vapor. That means the vapor pressure of the liquid, which liquid you are handling by the pump. Now if we want to avoid cavitation, it's a very simple thing, it is being established now. Just we have to keep sigma is greater than sigma c. Bas, completed. Because this sigma expression belongs to vapor pressure of the liquid. If this vapor pressure of the liquid is greater than this minimum pressure of the pump inlet, then there will be no cavitation. Again, repeating the things. Sigma is dealing with the vapor pressure of the liquid. Rest of the things are very same between these two expressions. Only the differentiating parameter is vapor pressure and the minimum pressure at the pump inlet. If sigma is greater, then obviously P vapor pressure, that means the vapor pressure of the liquid, it will be higher. Higher than which? Higher than which parameter? Higher than the minimum pressure of the pump inlet. If the vapor pressure of the liquid is more than the suction pressure of the pump inlet, then obviously no cavitation will be there. Again repeating, if P vapor pressure is more than the P minimum pressure, then no cavitation. How cavitation will occur? Isn't it? Because to occur cavitation, the pressure at the inlet of the pump will be less than the vapor pressure. Then vapor bubble will be formed. And Thomas just keeping this parameter over here, and he told that keep this sigma value more than sigma c, then there will be no cavitation, your pump will be running fine. That is the whole thing regarding the cavitation. And one thing will be there in your textbook, that is known as NPSH. Lots of question will be coming in your near future if you sit in any competitive exam where you see NPSH. Most of the students do not understand what it is, they memorize the thing. NPSH, the full form you can see, that is net positive suction head. Now you people are easily understand net positive suction head means which term? This whole numerator term. This whole numerator term is the net positive suction head. Why? Because if it is positive, then obviously atmospheric pressure is higher than the vapor pressure. Then that means it is a positive suction head. So if this whole numerator term, it is also named as NPSH, net positive suction head. Why it is so? Because the atmospheric pressure is more than the vapor pressure of the liquid. That is why it is known as net positive suction head. It is giving you a positive value. That is the reason. That is the whole thing regarding what I say, cavitation. Obviously there will be some question from cavitation in your semester exam also, mind it. Okay, then what the topic, which topic I am covering? Basically those topics which are relevant to the exam also. Okay, then one topic will be there, pump in series. It is very short topic, pump in series and pump in parallel. You can see this topic in any book. Obviously pump means the centrifugal pump I am talking about. It is very easy to keep in mind that while the pump they are connected in series, that means on a single shaft one pump is connected over here. This is one pump is there, one pump is there. They all are connected with a single shaft. Then they are known as pump in series. Similarly, if suppose these three pumps are there, all these pumps are delivering on a single pipeline. This is the delivery pipeline. This is known as pump in parallel. In a simplified manner, I am not going to draw all those things, it will consume some time. So why we connect pump in series and why we connect pump in parallel? It's a very easy thing. If we connect pump in series, then the thumb rule is head will be increased. Head will be increased. Basically, while we use to raise water in a multi-storied building like 40 floor, 30 floor, then the pumps connected in series. And while the pump is connected in a parallel connection, then discharge will be increased. Head will be remain same. Discharge will increase. Depending on that, you can make a plot Q head. Okay, so suppose one head curve is there. Okay, system characteristics का मैं राखছি না আবার confusion create করবে. Suppose this one is a curve and if I connect two identical symmetrical pump series connection, two identical pump, they are in series. Okay, so this curve is representing single pump is there, single pump. Now if we connect a symmetrical pump just like the first one, then you can see that the head will be just two times. If it is H1, then it will be H2, and obviously if they are geometrically similar to each other, then obviously H2 will be 2H1 if they are geometrically similar pump. This head curve is showing while they are in series, two symmetrical pump in series. You can see the head is doubled but the discharges remain same. Okay, here also if you draw the system characteristics curve, you can get the operating point. This will be the operating point for this series pump. This is the system characteristic curve. Okay, and similarly if we draw the plot for parallel connection also, then discharge will be, so this kind of plot you will get. Here also I am considering both the pumps as geometrically similar. It may not occur, it is not necessary. So this is for a single pump, one pump suppose, and it is for two pump, and they are in parallel. See, the discharge is being doubled. Why they are doubled? Because they are geometrically symmetrical, mind it. If it is Q1 and if it is Q2, then obviously Q2 will be 2Q1 if they are geometrically similar to each other, and head is constant. Here also if you draw a system characteristics curve, then you will get the operating point. It is in this topic is limited to you up to this limit. Why they are connected in series, why they are connected in parallel, how the curves is getting changed. Specific speed of centrifugal pump. How it can be defined? It is defined as the speed of a centrifugal pump. Let me split the video here. Okay, the specific speed is defined as the speed of a centrifugal pump, rather say speed of a geometrically similar means from any aspect, every aspect of the dimension of the pump, they are same. Okay, so defined as the speed of a geometrically similar centrifugal pump. Look like what? Geometrically similar pump. geometrically similar pump which would deliver 1 cubic meter, that means 1 meter cube, 1 cubic meter of liquid per second against a head of 1 meter, against a head of 1 meter. In easy word, for a geometrically similar pump which would deliver 1 cubic meter of water per second against a head of 1 meter. That is the bookish definition of specific speed. It is represented by a symbol NS. How the relationship can be developed? See, relationship of specific speed, it is easily can be developed. See, Q, we know that Q can be expressed by pi dB Vf. That expression already I have used many times. So I can write Q is proportional to B d Vf. Easily it can be written, name it by equation 1. Okay, now again we know that D is proportional to B, because if the diameter of the blade is getting increased with proportion to that, width of the blade is also getting increased in the same fashion. So they are directly proportional. B is the width of the blade and D is the diameter of the blade. If the diameter is increased, then the width of the blade is also increased. So if B is proportional to D, put it over here, then as a whole I can change this equation now. Q proportional to D square into Vf, because B is replaced by D. Easily it can be done. If B is proportional to D, then that B can be replaced by D, so that equation will be changed like this now. So I can name this equation number 1. Okay, Q proportional to D square Vf. Again we know the tangential velocity U can be written by pi dn by 60, isn't it? Now in the same fashion I can write U is directly proportional to D into N. Easily it can be written, isn't it?
Yes.
Very good. Now see, name this equation by 2. Now see, we have already seen eta manometric, that is the manometric efficiency, can be written by this expression GHM by VW to U2. That expression already I have used. So from here what we can see? We can see if the manometric efficiency is remaining constant, then I can write HM is directly proportional to VW to U2, because the manometric efficiency will be remain constant for a pump. If we consider so, then I can write this HM varies as directly proportional to VW to U2. And again we know V proportional to U, that means the velocity, absolute velocity of the jet and the velocity of the blade, they are also directly proportional. If the velocity of jet is increased, with respect to that U also will be increased. Again we know V is directly proportional to Vf, because Vf is nothing but the axial component of the V. Then V, if it is increased, then Vf also will increase, just making different relationship. First let me consider V proportional to Vw. Afterward I will come to Vf. If V proportional to U and V proportional Vw, then I can say U proportional to Vw. If we merge them both, then we get this equation, this relationship U proportional to Vw.
Yes.
If U proportional to Vw, then use this expression over here. Then from there I can establish HM, that is the manometric head, is proportional to U2 square, or I can say U square. If I eliminate that U2 as a UR, the U2 square ही लिख चलो U2 square. HM proportional to U2 square. Why? Because U proportional to VW, then U2 proportional to VW2. So instead of VW2 I can replace U2. So HM proportional to U2 square होगा. Just using this relation over here. ইফ এইচ এম প্রপোর্শনাল টু ইউ টু স্কোয়ার, এটাকে আমি ব্লক করলাম। হোয়াট আই এম ট্রাইং টু রিপ্লেস, I am replace this equation, want to replace, keeping this relationship block. Then coming on to this side, place is very short over here. Again see v proportional to vf, একটু আগে যেটা লিখেছিলাম এবার সেটা লিখব, কারণ v বাড়ার সাথে সাথে vf ও বাড়বে। Again v proportional to u also. So easily from these two relation again I can write that vf proportional to u or v proportional to vf and v proportional to u. From there again v proportional to vw, these three relation I am using. From there what I can write, come on to this side, that hm proportional to, just u is replaced by vf. From here, acha, let me show first here, u proportional to vf I can write from these two relation. From these two relation I can write u proportional to vf, isn't it? If v proportional to vf and v proportional to u also, then u proportional to vf will be there obviously. Similarly, if vw is proportional to v, then in a same fashion I can write vf proportional to vw also. Now just use these two expression onto hm equation. hm equation is proportional to vw2 and u2. Now u will be replaced by vf and vw will be replaced by vf. From there what I am getting hm is proportional to vf square. This is the one block, this is one block. These two relation I need. In the book they have directly written that hm, বই খুললে কি পাবে, বই খুললে দেখতে পাবে এই রিলেশনশিপটা, যে hm or root hm is directly proportional to d into, or rather say এরকম ভাবে লেখা থাকবে u proportional to va proportional to root hm, এরকম লেখা থাকবে। But how they are coming like this, one block showing hm proportional to u square, একটা ব্লক দেখাচ্ছে hm proportional to vf square. If you merge them both, then it will give you u proportional to vf proportional to hm or root hm, sorry. So one number equation here, two number equation here, and from this relationship I can use this relationship like this way also. H is like this, and already u proportional to dm আমি করেছি, so এখান থেকে এখানে নিয়ে এসো। If u proportional to dn, then from here I can also write that u is proportional to hm, তাহলে আমি লিখতে পারি root over hm is proportional to dn. Because u is proportional to root hm, so u এর জায়গায় root hm বসিয়ে দিলে root hm is proportional to dn. So easily from here I can write d square equals to, or not equals to, d square proportional to hm by n square. See, can it be written?
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
So d square proportional to hm by n square, এটাকে আমার দরকার, একটা স্টার দিলাম, ঠিক আছে। সো এটার সঙ্গে আমার লাগবে va proportional to hm root hm, সরি, এটাকে আমার লাগবে, দুটো স্টার দিলাম, আর লাগবে q স্কয়ার, এইটাকে লাগবে q proportional to d square, এই VF এইটাকে লাগবে। These three relation I need. What I will do now, just combining them. See what I will do, এই যে ইকুয়েশনটা আছে এটাকে পুল ডাউন করব, এই ইকুয়েশনের মধ্যে এই যে ডি স্কোয়ারকে রিপ্লেস করব এইটা দিয়ে, আর ভিএফ কে রিপ্লেস করব এইটা দিয়ে। সো হোয়াট আই উইল গেট, কিউ proportional to, in place of d square I will put hm by n square, very good, and in case of vf I will put root hm. That thing I am going to do. So what does this gives? Q proportional to hm whole to the power 3 by 2 divided by n square. If we remove proportionality sign, one constant will be coming. Suppose a constant I am putting k. So k hm to the power 3 by 2 by n square. Now go back to the definition. What definition? This constant you can say constant of proportionality. Definition is given in the specific speed, that specific speed is defined for a geometrically similar pump which would deliver 1 cubic meter. 1 cubic meter means discharge will be 1 cubic meter, that means q will be 1 meter cube per second. Then said per second. Per second means the in 1 second this will be the discharge, and head will be unit head, that means hm will be 1 meter. If these conditions availed, then the speed will be specific speed, isn't it? If we have 1 cubic meter delivery for 1 second for unit head generation, then that speed will be known as specific speed. So if we put this condition on this equation, so what does this gives? Obviously it will give you the specific speed. Now put q 1, k I am leaving like that, h value will be replaced by 1 also, and n will be replaced by ns square. Why ns? That is the specific speed. If we put all these conditions, then that speed will be known as specific speed. That is why I replace that n by ns. From there what I am getting? The constant value k equals to na square. If the constant is known, then easily this relation can be written like this manner. I am writing now by reading q equals to na square hm to the power 3 by 2 divided by n square. See, that is the final expression. If you want to get the expression for specific speed only, then write it for ns. Ns will be n root over q divided by hm to the power 3 by 4, because root will be there. এর উপরে আবার root আসবে, সেটা 3 by 4 হয়ে যাবে. See, have you understood this expression or not? This one. This is the expression for specific speed for a centrifugal pump. It will be slightly different for turbine. If you see the specific speed for turbine, then q will be replaced by power, because power will be developed by the turbine, and it will be not hm to the power 3 by 4 not will be there, some different index will be there. Quite a similar pattern, but some different terms will be there. Instead of q, p will be there, and instead of 3 by 4 it will be 5 by 2 or something else. I cannot remember that expression, but it will be the same manner.